welcome to Owl, and thank you to our originators, and what a wonderful celebration to have 5 years of continuous poetry months behind us. Yesterday was a really complicated day in Lethbridge. We have a city council who admits they have some problems with their perceptions of reality. And they put forth, the mayor and deputy mayor put forth a motion to put an iron fence around Galt Gardens. So over 100 people from Lethbridge showed up outside of City Hall to say that this was the worst idea they've ever heard. And the Raging Grannies, of whom I'm one, sang my lyrics to the song, "Oh Dear, What Can the Matter Be?" And then later on, we had people from the audience speaking, about a dozen different speakers. And then we went into City Council, the City Hall chambers, and watched City Council at work, where they actually voted down this motion. Thanks also in part to the demonstration, because they saw the signs and it made them think about the principles behind it. So that was a great day for democracy and a great day for Lethbridge starting to mature. Maybe even some of the council members are maturing. Okay, so my first poem is the lyrics to "Oh Dear, What Can the Matter Be?" And I was going to sing it, but my voice is too bad. So I'll start off with the refrain. Oh dear, where can the council be? Dear, dear, where can the housing be? Oh dear, where can the homeless be when council does nothing at all? They promised they'd find us some housing for homeless. Instead, they destroyed the encampment tent city, and people's belongings were thrown in the landfill. This did not solve anything. And then we do the refrain again. Next verse. It's over a year since they threw out the homeless, with nothing at all done to find them new places. Instead, they want to surround Galt Gardens with fences and deny the need for housing. Refrain. Perhaps they do think that Trump's wall is a model to emulate and show the NIMBY at City Hall. Perhaps they just wanted it all to disappear, still denying the need for housing. Oh dear, where can the council be? Dear, dear, where can the housing be? Oh dear, where can the homeless be when council does nothing at all? Thank you. Thank you. Then after that tremendous day for democracy, I went home and wrote up what the councillors had said, and realized that 2 of the councillors had actually changed their minds during the time they were speaking, and were going to vote for the motion, but after they heard others speaking, they voted against it. And one of them, it was directly because they had looked out at the demonstrators. This one I entitled Empathy, and it's based on, well, you'll see. The mayor and his deputy, 2 guys without much empathy, made a motion for a fence around the park of iron dents, as if those unhoused were their enemy. So citizens amassed at City Hall, not liking this evil plan at all, together raised their voices against all fencing choices and rejected building of a wall. Inside, the counselors knew that outside, frustration grew. Can't read my writing. Wisely, they voted down the motion, but this created such commotion as citizens reveled in their coup. Thank you. When we first moved here over 40 years ago, I dubbed this fine province of ours Saudi Alberta. Okay, now, what causes housing problems? What causes people to lose their homes, to fall off that housing grid? And here's my next poem, which is a pontoon, and it's the banksters. Central bank, self-interest rates steal our wealth. Because high interest rates bring higher mortgages and rent. Fighting inflation lets banks cheat us by stealth. Higher housing costs means more money spent. Higher rates bring higher mortgages and rent. But somehow, interest rates on our savings always lag. Higher housing costs mean more money spent and increases inflation that was supposed to sag. But somehow interest rates on our savings always lag, and since bank wealth is based on usury, bank rates raise inflation that was supposed to sag and claim our cash through this absurdity. Because bank wealth is based on usury, this stress on low-wage earners wrecks their health. Banks claim our cash through this absurdity. Banks' self-interest rates always steal our wealth. Thank you.
The pelting hail pulsates with my internal turmoil as I sit here alone at my kitchen table, sobbing. Tonight, he's in the hospital again. Catatonia has gripped his being, cloaking him in a shroud of silence. Where is my vigorous, animated man? Barely talking, he oscillates, sometimes in sentences, sometimes barely above a whisper in jumbled words, sometimes unable to say anything at all. He's mute. His haunted, sorrowful eyes search my face. He hesitantly asks if I'm okay. I respond, I am okay, but how are you? He cannot answer, just another indecipherable question. I knew something was oh so wrong, felt it inside. The new medication strangling his brain from within. Shouting in my mind, but calmly I told the ER docs, he's regressing into catatonia again, only to hear their pat reply, no, have him take an increased dosage today and go home. But what about his slipping into catatonia? He'll be fine. Well, he wasn't, and he isn't, and he won't be for some time. His essence withdraws, pacing, anxious, paranoid, and voiceless. Urgently, I phoned my mom. We need to take him back to the ER tonight. He's in a bad state and we can't wait till tomorrow. The ER doc nurse asked why we're back. What's the difference? The difference? He's gone, he's mute, he's sad. I'm mad. I feel had by the ER this morning. She listens and allows him into the examination room, traumatizing him, traumatizing me, traumatizing. The psychiatrist on call actually consults with us this time. He sees my beautiful husband struggling to exist, struggling to find non-existent words. My husband is admitted. I hug him one last time before 2 burly security guards walk him down to the psych ward. I won't see him till the next day. Paralyzed again, with mind and body, he rages within. Ring, ring. My phone wakes me up, a soft, hello. Dan, is this you? My husband, Dan? Yes. I wonder, how can he be talking to me? Maybe he just needed a really good night's sleep. I'm coming to visit you soon, I tell him. I phone his psych nurse. How is he? She says she remembers him from 2018. An injection of 2 milligram Ativan helped him come out of catatonia a bit, so I gave him a shot of it today, and it seems to be working. Dan's angel, my hero. You've brought my husband back to me. Even if in a small way he's no longer totally mute, just slightly, depending on the time of day. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful my husband won't have such a hard conflict to surmount as he creeps back towards sanity. Well, I'm wrong. His journey is just as hard this time round. Some days his voice is clear and loud and he can express himself wonderfully. On other days, his voice is just barely that of a whisper, and he can hardly fragment together a sentence or train of thought. This is a tough path to navigate, the ups and downs and the indescribable in-betweens. Catatonic schizophrenia, the mood disorder, is plaguing my husband's mind. Because so little is known about this illness, finding a cure is a heart-wrenching journey. I know my husband is in there somewhere, and when I glimpse his essence, I am reassured that he will make it out to this time.
There won't be any swear words, but for anything else I can't guarantee. The Chinook wind today could rip Jesus off the cross, and the prairie dust covers the old snow. The neighbor's dog is howling. He wants to be inside to avoid his dreams or so. Miss Miller holds her collar as if she chokes herself and squints like she just tasted sour. I stay inside and watch the world melting into words and crack a cold one every hour. Sometimes I think my ball pen has a bigger brain than me. I don't remember words an hour old. The only proof is my long hand, looking like a journal of a man lost at the North Pole. I never journaled, but I started a day timer when I didn't need a day timer, when I was like 20 or 19, and I never regret it. I just wrote in like 1 sentence or 2 what I did that day, or even just like stuff like on top of the parking garage. I want to be back on the top of the parking garage with a 6-pack and a pack of Gauloises, overlooking Cologne, letting our legs dangling, talking like there is no tomorrow, like Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. The cathedral to our left, to our right, the sunset, below a side street with a kiosk. Above the sky in glowing red with pigeons here and there. Right now, I didn't want to be anywhere else in the world for what I care. We had no worries, we had no pain, no laughter could cure in a day. Broke, but on top of the world, at least on this block, you said. Tonight there was no better place to be, to laugh, to talk. Tonight should last forever. I owned the light, you owned the dark.
I'm going to start with a couple of haiku and then go right into the poem that they grew out of. June. Quickly here, then gone. June was fire, smoke, heat, and fear. Will we never learn? July, hottest week ever, yet world leaders still deny. Can we save ourselves? And the poem they grew out of is called Impermanence. Impermanence, the Buddhists teach, all is transitory, ephemeral, fleeting. This truth should be quite obvious, for nothing stays the same, nothing lasts. But I, for one, have yet to take this evidence to heart. The flowering trees this spring were glorious, blooming in opulent abundance, brilliant whites, luscious pinks and purples, dazzling to the eye. I said I'd take a picture, but I delayed. And then the fires, the heat, the smoke. And in no time the blooms were gone, carpeting lawns and boulevards with their former splendor, a tiny few still clinging to their trees. Time is an illusion. There is only now, this moment now, and this, and this, and this. We can't escape this now, for we are firmly held within its grasp, yet we ourselves cannot grasp it. We can neither seize the day nor the moment. We can only live it. Live the present now. Live with presence now. Thank you. And now for something quite different, with a forenote that Eve, or Chava in Hebrew, means the mother of life. This is called Out of the Garden. We all know this tale. In the patriarchal bias of the ages, we call it the story of Adam and Eve. I think we've got it backwards. It's really the story of Eve and Adam. Adam is a minor character, content to spend his days wandering naked without thought or effort, taking whatever is given, knowing no lack, mistaking his ignorance for bliss, and assuming that the way things always were was the way things would always be and should be too. Not a risk taker, he is a man with no backbone, no desire, no imagination. Lacking motivation, he has no creative spark to venture anything new, has no conscious thoughts about a future of possibilities. It's almost as if he were God's pet. Eve, on the other hand, questioning authority, shows spunk, wit, intelligence, and a willingness to experience more, daring to go beyond the known limits of her life. She offers Adam enlightenment too. We know the rest. Predictably, God, like the authorities of all religions of control, gets mad. Adam, and most of the Western world for centuries, blames the woman. Did the man or men who first dreamed up this tale think it through? Did they find no goodness, no beauty in human living? Their lives must have been arduous indeed if they could think their story portrayed paradise. This account depicts no fall from grace, no original sin of hubris, but rather the bursting forth of human consciousness, the triumph of our growth and evolution, of our willingness to risk making bad decisions, to face the fullness of life with its sorrows and joys, its wonders and horrors, its pains and pleasures, the willingness depicted in the audacious choice made by Eve, the great mother of all. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. All right, this first one is called Opposites. I search to claim, to gain insight over the cause despite. The fact I sit in fear the mind that's none too clear. And as the days they pass me by, I can't help but wonder why. Opposites the same, come and go, water steadied, raging flow. Heaven descends, turns to hell, muted mouths open to tell. From here to there, black to white, peace to war, wrong to right. Night is dark, absent of light. What once was empty returns as full, the line is slack before the pull. Silent now before I hear, what once was hazy becomes too clear. Quick and young, slow and old, what once was warm is now so cold. Sweet and bitter, bittersweet, charge forward fast and then retreat. Joy and sorrow first and last, dreaming of a future past. Sun shines down in cloudied sky, first you live and then you die. Thanks. The next one's called The Memory. Let me ask you one question, she says. Do you have a keepsake? Something that gives much more than it ever could take. I reply, just one something I always hold dear, something I turn to whenever I am near. Not a physical possession, it's a memory, maybe more of a thought, a special little gift that only I have got. Interesting, she says. What is this that offers that protection? No, no, I reply. You only said one question. I like you, she says, turning the group and expels. I guess it's just his. I smile smugly. They all do, sweetheart, until they find out what the memory is.
I should learn to write in a bigger point size. But anyway, let's hope I can read my own type. This one's called Awakening. Jill would like this, and so would Cat. When you walk in the desert, where there is naught but stones and wind, where time does not exist and never did, do you hear the stones talk as you walk, and the wind sing in harmony with your breathing? And in the endless emptiness, do you see your thoughts and ask whence they come and where they go in the desert? And does the thought occur, what is the purpose of it all? What the plan? Is it to be mighty where there's only you to conquer? Or to be wealthy in a place where money has no meaning? Or perhaps to be the wisest of them all, with no admiring ears around to hear? Does who you are, your name, matter in the desert? Thus, casting aside seductive fantasies of dominion, fortune, and fame, does there not arise in that vacant moment in the mind a radiant inner light that seems to say, though not in words as such, lasting legacy lies not in hollow illusions of desire and adulation, but in awakening awareness to the eternal wonder and oneness of all things in the universe that awaits within you now in the desert. And afterwards, returning to the wanting world of politics, piety, and greed, is there anything now different? Has anything changed? Is there anything more to know and be than your awakening in the desert? Thank you. This is a short one. Whence I come, where I go, east, west, no one knows. Here now, but not around, everywhere, but nowhere found. No favors asked, no favors done. Owning naught, I am not owned. Seen but felt, gentle, strong, yet unattached, to none belong. Alpha, Omega, nothing and all, that I am, as is the wind.
My poems tonight aren't the greatest of English literature, or Canadian literature, but they're my love poems to poets. First one I wrote the night of our first anniversary. It's called Carry On, Fellow Poets. I see you here on stage, voice quivering but soul shining. I hear your heart's words of joy or pain, memories or anger. I know the nervousness of reading your poetry first time in public. I know how bright that light is on stage The microphone scary with the loudness. Wow, my voice? Really? Yes, really. Your voice, you, heart and soul visible right here now. I'm so filled with gratitude. I bow to all the poets here. I may never have met most of you if you hadn't dared to stand here naked and tell us what it's like to be you. People full of mystery and surprise. Listening to you inspires me to see strangers with more curiosity and hope. So, what's it like for you? Tell me what troubles you, delights you, fills you with wonder. From despair to random kindnesses, from sex to spirituality, I hear from you how many ways there are to live a life, a good life. And I'm grateful to you, ordinary, beautiful people, so extraordinary and soul shining out, lanterns to those of us lost or frightened. You belong here, as do I. And we've all made a space inviting others to belong to this adventure called life, this experiment in telling it how it is. Carry on, fellow poets. Let us carry on. Another night, another ode to poets. May you poets be blessed. May you poets be blessed. May you poets find the words that are begging to be spoken, words to lament, words to witness, words to move, words to confront. May you poets write the words that we need to see, words to ignite, words to inspire, words that challenge, words that tell it like it is. May you poets speak the words that others cannot say, words to cry out, words to console, words that caress the heart of the beloved. May you poets be blessed. May you poets find, write, and speak the words that long to be told, that many dare not say, that others cannot say. May you poets be blessed.
My first one is Hooded Lady's Tresses at Knights Lake, and I wrote it July 26, 2023. Fair ladies stand upon the shore, their knight had claimed some years before, and now their tresses glisten white, yet lovely still in morning light that sparkles off Knights Lake. Though far off ladies stand quite tall, here longful longings made these small. As summer passes them they yearn for their salvation to return, to find them at Knights Lake. But I don't have the time to wait for someone who will confiscate my years. I need no night to make my future bright, and so I'll take my leave now from Knights Lake. Thank you. My next one is called A Carthew King. I wrote it June 24th, 2023. 2 days ago, we hiked from Cameron Lake to Carthew, knowing well that it would take some time. We both were tired and it was hot. Yet strangely, heat did not deter a lot of climbers, coaches and their football team and other youth who didn't even seem to break a sweat while climbing up that day. So many climbers passed us on the way. We saw them on the ridge, so far ahead, they'd climbed up fast. We took things slow instead. And still, we reached that same ridge others had. Although we take things slow, I don't feel bad. I've never envied them their backs or hearts. I think of all our old and broken parts like extra challenges we've overcome. In years ahead, I'm sure that there will be some long hikes like this one that we just can't do. But then I hope I'll still remember you, a Carthew king, like those who came before, but not like them, since your ascent meant more.
Horace once said, apparently, keep the poem 10 years. I've kept this poem 40 years. It's a young man's poem, and it's dedicated to the guy I paid good cash to teach me creative writing. Smarty Chort, I'm going to call him, and that's not Smarty Short, it's Chort, as in Chort, Russian, devil. Why would I say that? Well, here's an example of his creative writing teaching. He said to me once in class, in front of a dozen or more people, people who write poetry like you, well, what he said was, only stupid people write poetry like you. Thank you, Smarty Chort. So here's the poem. Incidentally, he did prove by doing that I was stupid. I actually paid money to go through that abuse. And that was 2 courses, too. At any rate, here's the poem. It's from a long time ago. It's a young man's poem. It's called To Vicky Dietz, we'll say. I know this woman who's driven to be an artist, but driven riled to be more than an artist. So what does she do but enroll in a game theory course to win the war game love, of course. In theory, all's fair. Sure. I'm so cold for her. She once said, once she'd been matchlessly good at running. She should be even better at present at running, because no one could give her the keenness of pace way back when she now hounds from track letterman. They all play the hare, their spur, they're so cold for her. She said yours truly reminded her of her brother. She said she always wanted to marry her brother. What heart blockage triggered her later rejection of me? Vestigial sibling rivalry? I really should care, but brr, I'm so cold for her. Thank you for putting up with further evidence of my stupidity, and I just want to say about the only thing that virtue it possesses is it's short, because that's all I've got for you. Take care.
Hello. Thank you for your welcome tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to listen to all of your words and the opportunity to share a few of mine. 2 short pieces, the first very short, dedicated to Sevdia. Taffeta, orange taffeta, a tensil bite, a tipped sweet wine, an edge of solid counsel grasped before the waves, pliant to a flat hand, palm down, leveled at her waist, the tide a slight pull against her. And the second piece is part of a project where poets were asked to submit their last poem, the poem that would be your last poem if you knew the world was ending. This is Ribbon. Once overturned the high desert light, thinking the things, again you have breathed, not specifically, considered, peeling garlic at his table, myrtle wood board. Which of you with child, stalked amid snow-covered, a wound ribbon, the realization that these things are done to people, understanding that we are the last. Tell them that we have brought compensation, deliver. We give no thought to ours. He takes our hands in his hands. Is it ours to connect this violence, to bring reasoning to it? When everyone knows, when it is said, seeing how a delicate balance, distinctions, stuttered images, sound of breath, calm of held breath, question the killing out to the mist of the edge, because this cannot be what you wanted. 5 simmering, smoke ribbon road through snow-covered, slight course, slight disembarkations. What were you told and how were you told? Fixed gaze, our slight reluctance. Walked in the streets, the city, lights on, off. Entwined heads reluctant, above. Entwined bodies live on the hard shoulder, held. The need to not be in this place. Perhaps what is not understood. To leave the bridge that carries all of stories, 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 dreams of stories. Thank you.
So the first poem I have for you guys is called Faith. And I'll have 3 poems. God, please heal me, and you spoke like the mist, a voice so soft, a lullaby kissed. Remind me that I'm human, that you can see me too. God, please teach me and redefine my faith, a choice to be fearless. I take a step towards your loving embrace. Thank you. And my second poem is called The Beautiful Land. Send forth your rain-laden clouds and the faith that they will come. There is love in the unknown. The secrets seem rooted through stone, my darling. Don't you feel the storm? How it beckons, how it will come to deafen like the ghosts that haunt beneath these everlasting starry skies. Oh, darling, don't look so scared. You know I can see it somewhere in those eyes. There is no disguise. For the flame that burns from within, for the seed that races to send out limb upon limb. So there is no plan, just the path that we have and the love that holds us here in this moment. Send a dove, somehow sent from the heavens high above. All I've ever wanted was to know you, to know this song stirring in my chest, to know its pleasure, to know its pain. Good God, please don't let this feeling slip away. And with twilight since past, I find the rhythm, tap my foot to the beat. So darling, let's come to know this living love like the branches we marvel 50 feet above, or the coo of an owl, the silvery wetness of a fish. Below crimson waves sounds the gallop of apocalypse. So gather your friends and all who you hold dear. I just want you to know that there's nothing to fear. Though the winds may be strong with the rain pounding down, together we'll remain rooted through stone, finding refuge, finally home.
I'm just back from a pilgrimage. I drove to Billings, Montana to see Lyle Lovett and his large band. It was a 30-year dream come true, and it was epic. So this set of poems, a little triptych of, I lived in Vancouver and I moved to Lethbridge, which weirded a lot of people out when I told them that. This first poem is written on one of my trips back in the early days to visit the city that I spent so much time in, and it is called Inner Migration. I find myself traveling strange paths recently, down bus routes where the immigrants go, bleary-eyed and weary from their work, staring at the white man in his fancy clothes, wondering what I'm doing on their bus. Laden with their booty from the discount megastores of life, living the Canadian dream in this borrowed city. The sun is shining, bright fall rays, the weather near the end of its days, if global warming is to be believed. On days like this, I feel relieved to be a part of the immigrant tide that has swept over this country for centuries, ebbing and falling, turning as the seasons turn, spring into summer, white into brown, the colors fade and mingle. But the people on the bus don't. They have not yet left behind the worlds from which they come to fully trust this road they travel now. On a bright fall afternoon in a city by the sea, with the flaming trees, golden glows, and passing glances from the strange white man who should not be on this bus. Thank you. This next poem was written on my way to Lethbridge, which I didn't realize I was going to stay in for 14 years. I just knew I was getting out of Vancouver because I was tired of it. And it's called Autumn Becomes Spring. On a bus to Southern Alberta, winter coming on, only thought as I stared at prairie that Ian Tyson song. Rhythms of Morocco playing in my ears, heading for my sisters, time to face my fears. Don't miss the life I left behind, looking for the one to come. Wind turbines line the distance, gray clouds sing the song, my future's calling, my future's calling. Time for me to be more the man I always wanted to be. Rhythms of Morocco thrumming in my mind takes me far away to souks I've left behind. Coffee in Marrakesh, loving in the sand, flying out of LA, full moon in my hand. Think I'll go out to Alberta. Weather's good there in the fall. As I head for someplace smaller, I feel I'm walking tall. Gotta go, still life to live.
So this one is called Justice Rage. And there is a component of participation. By the time the anger comes, it's too late to close the door. It's already off its hinges. In the moment, I don't realize I have a moral obligation to be mad. I pride myself in my skills to remain calm when the poop hits the fan. I do not squirm at the sight of blood. I have you bandaged and sedated and served a cup of tea before I feel the least bit nauseous. The high tension moment comes and goes, and we are fully regulated before the stink hits my nostrils. It takes a good, sweet minute until the putrid strength of it builds like an army. It crawls up my legs like ants. Like I'm standing in an anthill, and the first insect that I see is already up here on my shoulder. I could scream, but I don't. A temper tantrum would be too embarrassing. What I do have is a very particular set of coping skills. I could punch a pillow, kapow, take that. I could write a nasty note like, how dare you, you filthy Still, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I stare into the void with gritted teeth and huffing breath, take sweet and glorious revenge. I will look for you, and I will find you, and I will be very disappointed in you. I will do everything and anything except fix the door. Let it remind me to revisit the moment. Every time I look at the broken hinges, I relive it over and over, because it's not just the door, it's also the holes in the walls and the broken window and the shattered picture frame, the dents in my car, the torn up grass in my yard, the foot stomps on my flowers. The mess is everywhere. Everywhere I go, everywhere I look, every moment reminds me of why I'm mad. Like a fast-flowing river, I get swept away, and I'm covered in ants, and I can't shake them off. Crawling under my clothes and in my hair, I can't ignore them. No one can sit still and ignore crawling ants. They are ants, dozens of them, hundreds of them, and they all have names, every one. Do you know their names? I do. Homelessness. The unhoused. Anyone bothered by homelessness? Yeah. Healthcare. Am I right? Yeah. How the sick are ignored and told to pay the bill and suck it up. How about equal pay? The wage gap? The women who work 2 jobs because of the patriarchy? Let me hear you boo. Boo! Here is an insect named racism. Here is another named sexism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, transphobia, straight pride, misogyny, misandry, objectification, poaching, pollution, global warming, subjugation, noise violations, addictions, incarceration, isolation, deportation, manipulation, degradation, extinction. Get your manager. I want to talk to your manager. Hundreds of these ants are violating my rights, violating my peace. There is a rushing river in my head all the time. Quantity of rage, level 10. That grudge I had from the school bully in grade 5, still there. That thing you forgot you said that was slightly critical and hurt my feelings, I remember every word. What are yours? Tell me what they are.
Stupid, selfish, bored, gay, more eyes. Noteworthy, bad, sexy, but when no one had the guts to tell me. Judgment.
We can't fix the door. It's already off its hinges. I can't fix the door. I can't. Thanks.
This first one is about my ex Liam that sadly ended his life after he figured out that I had a miscarriage. So this one's called Suicide. It didn't kill me the day I got the news. It felt like something shattered inside of me, like breaking glass, thunderstorms that never stop, flashbacks of us together, the memories. Oh, the memories. The sound of your voice in the morning, the quirks that made me fall in love. When I got the news, I broke, haunted by the ghost of you, in denial that you were gone, the love I lost that day. Take me back to the night we met. Thank you. This next one's called Then and Now. I just hit 3 years clean of self-harm, and so this is called Then and Now to celebrate that. Thank you. Then and now. Somewhere between then and now, the razor blades turned into beautiful tattoos. The screaming matches turned into poetry. Somewhere between the eating disorder and now, the fear of food turned into wanting to try new things all the time. Somewhere between then and now, my hopeless romantic heart has come back. I believe in love again. Somewhere between then and now, I finally can look at myself without crying. Somewhere between then and now, I became myself.
Roots seeking. Deep roots, deep dive, reaching and touching for blood, water. These sour, tar-pitched lips are parched and want more. Shallow roots in swamp, waterlogged by wanton emotion, water-bombed, and what do you hold on to? Shallow roots in the dry, despairing of night dreams of moisture, dwell close to surface to catch what catch can. The deepest roots strive, not thrive, in the inconsistency of nature. Both drench and the desert leave desire unsated. This attachment then revealed, clasp and cling is sign of shifting winds, rains. These cracked fingers know better than the glut or the gallows. Roots encaging. Gnarled roots have set in, pierced the skin, wreathed the heart, squeezed, choked. A demand you stay put, breathe these fumes, lay on dirt, molder, compost. This always the air in your branches, nothing will escape, nothing will submit. You, me. An unwanted cottonwood safeguard over weeping willow, beside trembling aspen, yearning, pining. Weight of the wood on chest, how you resist, why we struggle, fail, leave. Spirits flow with the breeze, away at long last, unrooted in time, finally eternal. Roots regenerating. Knotweed jammed in just right where it don't belong, no, my friend. Oak ripping up foundations where we will never belong. Dandelion blows to fractures, concrete and lawns, seeds unwanted. Pretty roses drenched, sprayed, decorated with husks and ghosts of bees. Fire traces the grasslands. Flames crest the hills. With roots in the ashes comes the fireweed, a pink blanket for a man-wounded world, balm for a wounded soul. Roots concluding, perhaps it is this fear of cracked concrete that explains why I am become a tumbleweed. But even an old tumbleweed had roots somewhere.
This is not only the 5th anniversary of the amazing owl poetry, it's also the 5th anniversary of me starting to write in English. So I have one long one. We'll see if we have time for the second one. This long one is a new one. My usual stuff, which means X-rated. It's called Memento Vitae. Baby boy, I ask permission from you to take a picture of you from the back as you stand naked in the moonlight in my huge 24th floor window. What for? Exclusively for my memory. No, I am not going to show it to everyone, bragging that this is the butt that I squeezed while you were thrusting into me. The sexiest butt in Calgary and beyond. How many weighted squats a day did you say you have to perform to keep your butt this shapely? This round and juicy and smooth, yet hard? I digress. It looks great from where I'm lying, but it's only for my own memory. I don't even want to keep it in my phone. I think I'll print it on glossy paper, you know, regular photograph size, and delete the file. No, I don't want it enlarged. Your muscles are large enough. In fact, in my line of business, we call it muscle dysmorphia. Your back is already too big. I could also do with less tattoos. However, not my place to say. It is your body, your temple. Those glutes, though, perfect. I was saying, I want to keep you on paper, the photo tucked away, and then take it out occasionally to remind myself of the last time I had a handsome man in my bed. In front of my window, anyway. At times, when I feel lonely, misunderstood, unattractive, unnoticed, forgotten, which is more often than you think, more often than I'd like to admit, more and more often? I can remind myself that for a short while, we forgot all the rules, the boundaries, all the il faut and il faut pas. We saw through all the tattoos and taboos. We understood and comforted each other for the night. I felt like I had something to offer. I understood that you have something to give. It wasn't because we were both horny. It was because we are both lonely. We weren't even drunk. I am desperate, but not stupid. A Serbian could never outdrink an Irish. There is ample evidence to that. Yes, I have been watching your ass in secret for a while, but I never reach for it just because it's gorgeous, just because you are gorgeous. It is weird, someone will shrink me about this, but I want to mother you as much as I want to. All these unfulfilled desires merged into one. You get me. It is more this understanding, this comfort, this short-term satisfaction, this temporary fulfillment, this shared ether that I want to preserve, more so than the picture of a perfect ass. Promise me one thing, baby boy. Please don't say you will call me. I am not asking you to call me. I am not expecting you to call me. Unless you're absolutely sure you will call me, you absolutely don't need to say you will call me. Okay, maybe right now you think you'll call me, but as soon as you leave my building and stepped onto the street, there is a whole new world out there. More importantly, there are our entire lives out there. Maybe it's easier if you don't call. Because I'll see your ass again, but tonight's magic will be gone. Thank you for consenting. I'll always have the photo of a perfect ass to remind me. However, should you get an urge, literally, to call, I'll probably answer. The other one was an old one along the same lines, probably already the first time I was here, which was not July 2018, but August when I first moved to Lethbridge. But yeah, along the same lines. It's called You're Back. You're back. You offer sexy times. Your efforts are all in vain. Why would I squeeze your juicy glutes when I can caress a glass of champagne? Your invites, milk and honey, to me, they have zero clout. Why would I nibble on your earlobes when I can melt chocolate in my mouth? Your texts lure, all sweet, 2 a.m., leaving me angry, awake. Why would I suck on your magic cucumber when I can stuff my throat with cake? You need to stop. You just don't get it. I want to be nuisance-free. Why would I want to have sex with you when I can have sex with me? Thank you.
Okay, something entirely different. And I probably have read this here before, but there's a really specific reason, and a couple of people in the building may get it. It's called MCC Thrift. At the MCC Thrift Store, the Mennonite Central Committee, there's a wall of quilts next to the checkout. Exuberant, bright gardens. You can be at rest in the peaceable kingdom, snug in the Garden of Eden, sinning happily all night, warm in Babylon. Did God see the world in the beginning as a multicolored patchwork pieced together from scraps? A nice conceit. Even agnostics patch together imagery from rag bags of commonly held bits of material, rags and tags cut and sewn to pleasing patterns, shapes to give order, make some sense of this world. It's best done as handiwork, individual tastes and predilections, selecting goods from the common store, coming to consensus, working in reasonable accord, group aesthetic shaped by the tradition, each quilter's skill brought to the making of a quilt, of a thing of beauty. Machine quilting does the job. The stitching's infernally even. But for my money, the Mennonite ladies are assured of a quilt frame in heaven. Okay, that one's for Ross. Okay, we'll do this one because it's August. It's called August London Road. A gray slab of sky to the north and east. The sun's breaking through to the west-southwest, cottonwood lint and a limpid stream flowing between the boulevard trees. The summer air is thick as syrup. I'm sitting on my front porch looking across the street through the gap in the Caraganas, where my new neighbors decided that the lot was worth more empty than the cost of renovations. I rather liked that place, the way it was. It had a certain funky charm, though as they aged, it got away from them. They kept up the house and cared for the yard as best they could, but things slowly fell apart. Then, when he died, she had to give it up. Days like today, the world feels arrested on a stationary point, life circling slowly round, the ants scuttling randomly till they cut scent, taste the pheromones, and head back towards the nest. My thoughts look and meander out and back again. I'm following old trails, getting distracted. Oh, look, a butterfly. The shadows are stretching as the sun sets and the slow breezes ebb. I rather like myself the way I am, but then there's not a lot of choice. I admit I have my faults, but I've always had a certain funky charm. Though that is sadly transitory. I'm all too aware that things will begin to fade and fall apart more quickly than I'd like. That the most ordered life can go quickly to the bad. I've read where an anthill, like a human brain, each ant a single cell and all the pathways neurons. It makes a useful image, though I'm sure it's incorrect in detail and in whole. Still, there's a chance wrong information will send things badly sideways. What's brought will prove corrupt. The neural circuits clogged or broken. I fret with each small memory lapse, each loss of concentration, that external trauma or internal failure, the storm or the wasp infiltrating the nest or the winter's frost. Use whatever metaphor you wish for time or chance. Will leave me with my garden run to weeds, things I did torn down, forgotten, a place of vacant lot. Time and decay triumphant. I'll get a grip, man. It's still late summer. The breeze is blowing, it's evening, and the butterfly has sat down by my hand.
My first poem is called What is Poetry to Me? And it was prompted by a question Mary Reynolds Thompson asked on her website. She asked readers about what poetry meant to them. Poetry, to me, is the sacred language of the heart and soul. It is the raw, uncensored, deep thoughts, experiences, senses that come from my inner core. It is the magical part of the mundane. It is the description of things not everyone sees and talks about. It is the connection to God, the universe, the moon and stars, and everything in between. It is the flowers of the spoken world collected into a colorful bouquet. It is the flow of consciousness, sometimes emerging from the unconscious, revealing the unknown. It is the life force pouring out and transforming into words that are an invitation to connect us in a meaningful, sacred, and supportive way. The next one is the power of poetry. I wanted to thank you, and you, and you, and all of you for sharing your poetry with me. Sharing the sadness, the joy, the frustrations, the humor, the beauty. Sharing your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams. Every time you share your poems, you share more than words with me. You share a sacred piece of you. And as we share, we relate, we connect, and we bond with each other in a deep, meaningful way. Because when I see you for who you truly are, I appreciate you more than if we had a superficial talk about the weather. Thank you for sharing the sadness, the joy, the frustrations, the humor, the beauty, sharing your thoughts, your hopes, and your dreams. Thank you for sharing your poetry with me.
Well, I've missed being here, but I got a dog.
Well, some women get boyfriends, others
I got a dog. So this is something that I wrote. One of the first times that we had the poetry, there was an assignment given, and it's write about something that you thought was true. So this is what I wrote. One thing I used to think was true. One thing I used to think was true was how babies came into the world. In my innocence, when I was about 4 years old, I postulated that girls were born with a certain number of baby seeds deep within her belly. Some girls had 2 baby seeds, some had 4, unlike my mother who had 6 baby seeds, and other girls came into the world without any baby seeds at all. Once the girl grew up and married, the baby seeds would begin to grow. You see, after marriage, I surmised, when a woman would share her bed, the warmth of 2 bodies cradled deep in slumber would activate the necessary germination of these dormant baby seeds and produce a harvest of children. But then my theory was put to the test when our 17-year-old neighbor began growing a baby without being properly attached to a man. Perhaps it was all the candy she ate. Perhaps all the sugar accidentally kick-started one of her baby seeds. Now I know that excess sugar is more likely to induce diabetes than pregnancy. I used to think the boys were the enemy. At least that's what my mother told me. If a boy and a girl spent too much time alone, she would say, she will surely end up pregnant. Holding fast to my own theory, I decided my mother had no idea how things worked. I used to know my mother was always right, but now her seeming show of ignorance left me sadly disappointed. And now, after harvesting 2 children of my own, I understand how things work. I used to think that innocence and ignorance were 2 states to be avoided at all costs, but having spent time in both places, I now know they are just the base camp at the foot of the mountain of truth that we all must climb. And as I climb this mountain, I know that what I know is true today may not be so tomorrow. The next one was inspired. I was just sitting at a red light and I saw this young man in a ball cap. It's called Young Men in Ball Caps. Young men in ball caps, faces obscured, the line between boyhood and manhood still blurred. Just what are you thinking? What's in your head? You say very little, your affect half dead. What's going on behind half-opened eyes? Are you still full of wonder or jaded by lies? Is your internal banter more question or answer? Are you fixated on girls or a cure for cancer? It's so hard to tell, not easy to see just who you are or what you will be. Life is a mystery that begins with our birth. Every person has value. Every person has worth. Young girls in crop tops, bellies exposed, taking selfies on cell phones, carefully posed. Just what are you thinking? What's in your head? Are you stubborn and strong or easily led? What's going on behind eyes caked with makeup? Are you fixated on world peace or yesterday's breakup? It's so hard to tell, not easy to see just who you are or what you will be. Life is a mystery that begins with our birth. Every person has value. Every person has worth. Old ones with walkers, eyes cast to the ground. Are you weak and confused, or are your thoughts still profound? Just what are you thinking? What's in your head? Do you savor each moment, or wish you were dead? It's so hard to tell, not easy to see, if the years of your life have left a rich legacy. Life is a mystery that begins with our birth. Every person has value. Every person has worth. Male or female, young or old, light-skinned or dark-skinned, feeble or bold, gay or straight, LGBTQ, and yes, even young men in ball caps. This world needs you too.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a choice, something more optimistic, or perhaps the reasons why I think something optimistic might be called for. But first, I have a question for you. Okay, so I know there's like a lot of talk about like last lecture kind of themes, or like what your last poem would be, or that kind of thing. And what I want to invite you to consider is, if something is important, does it matter if it's the last thing you do? No. And this is personal for me, because I feel like people have to die for me to learn important things. And people shouldn't have to die for that. Okay, so optimistic or? Optimistic. All right. Okay, this one's called Seasonal Affective Order. And this is kind of a pledge. I'll be summer and winter, and a tempest in springtime, and I'll fall for the summer because it will be mine. And when it's all over and time to start again, I'll be back for the next time, whenever next is. Now I'll live for forever, just because I want to. Whatever the seasons, let them be kind to you. For they are as you are, and neither of us knows what that is. But that does not mean we cannot find it, just that we won't know until we do. Thank you.
Oki Niksukwex. Hello, all my relations. So I guess I'll start with this one. It kind of came about because like neither of my parents have graduated, and I'm the first of the like younger generation to have graduated in my family. So this is kind of, I guess, my perspective on education. Reframing education from school is not for some people to schools are not built for people. They serve colonial institutions, not the children of the future, instilling discipline to control, hoping they won't learn that the liberty of Indigenous society can be healing to your soul. From birth, they're shown how to work the grind, slaving for cash, smoking that hash to tolerate the system that doesn't work for us, that doesn't love us like our mothers tried while breaking their backs for us to survive the mass extinction of Indianness. Fried connections, burnt out lights, school is not for us. And then this one kind of, I guess, I was thinking about what poetry meant to me, and it has been a very therapeutic experience. Poetry is my therapy. Not that nobody cares about me, but no one can carry this burden besides the Creator in me. So I tell therapists that I'm fine amidst all this crisis. I know the tools I can use to self-regulate, and they send me off. People pleasing. Maintaining incestuous relationships is the only way to keep ceremony. Who else will bear the responsibility of a dying society? I am told to be a woman and to do my religious duty, so I fall in line and do what they tell me. people pleasing. The role of a mother is policed so heavily, constantly not living up to the standards imposed on me. I give my body piece by piece. I have to be okay with this. I have to be the mother my children need. People pleasing, people pleasing, people pleasing.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back again at Poetry. Thank you all for being here. It's been such a lovely night, as it always is. I'm just going to share two shortish poems with you tonight. The first one does not really have a title. We wake up in the morning to our clothes strewn all over the bedroom floor. The thought floats through my mind, oh God, what have we done? But then you reach for me, and your sleepy caress soothes me, running down my hair, my arm, to my hips, pulling me into you, till my head rests on your chest, your lips press to my forehead, and I close my eyes and simply rest in the tenderness of this experience. Nothing needed to be different. And these tears don't ruin the beauty of letting it be what it was in that moment. And this last one is one I wrote in 2019, so it's a little bit older, but it's called Your Eyes. Your eyes are the most beautiful thing I have ever felt reaching into my soul. I miss their warmth when you leave. I can hardly brave a look into the depths of the ocean that is your face. Your jaw has been sculpted by a master craftsman. Her skill is evident in every crease and every line. You tug at my chest. You make my heart hurt. You make breathing hard. Yet I can reach out and touch your skin, your face. I can feel the softness of your skin, the coarseness of your stubble, which still is remarkably soft, and your eyes have got to be the most beautiful thing I have ever seen.
Woo! Was not expecting it to be the last one. All eyes on me. I was told that this is the 5-year anniversary, so I made this one. It was a half a decade, or every half a decade, which just a short little chronicle of every 5 years of my life and where I was at. When was the beginning of my life? Did it start when I was birthed, unearthed from stardust's given form, in the form of an infant delivered by a midwife? Did my life start then? No. I would not go through that again. Year 5 comes next. It felt like being hexed. I can form memories, though all I see are enemies. If only I could make some happy thoughts. This must be an antagonist plot. Why is my existence like this? It is such a diss. With learning to count, I know that next is 10. I have learned to take up a pen, but I'm not very good. I'm often misunderstood. Talking is a seldom occasion. Who could have envisioned that this poem will have more spoken words than any month of my first decade? My mind was the place where I was not afraid. 15 was the start of the change. Though I am still change, though I am still strange, I am no longer alone. A change that I can now be happy at home. I have sisters who are at the beginning of their existence. We can start this journey together, for I am thankful for their assistance. 20 was the middle of my addiction, stricken with affliction, a shame that I was playing with bubbles. Willing to smoke up and away from my troubles, I have learned to hide from the start of my life, though my skin can't hide from a knife. Now that I'm 25, I now have a drive. I've overcome addiction, depression, and self-criticism. They are not gone. The difference is that I'm no longer a pawn. I am back from the path I strayed, ready for the next half a decade. Thank you.